Paris was a strong, disciplined woman who lived in the village. She lived in the village surrounded by dusty roads and quiet neighbors. Her husband Gogo was an Uber driver working in the city. Together they had 4 beautiful children, Awino, Omosh, Atis and Awor. Paris raised them alone in a permanent brick house with iron sheets and clean compound. They weren't rich, but they weren't poor either. They tried every day. Gogo was ever busy in the city and rarely came home. It was Paris who often went to visit him with the children in the city. Sometimes, Paris would travel to see Gogo in the city, just the 2 of them. Paris was always lonely back in the village. It crept in slowly and she opened the doors for it. A man from a neighboring village came often, kind with words and hands. He helped in the garden, stayed longer each time, and felt the loneliness Paris felt. She started having an affair with this man. What began as harmless moments turned into late whispers in the dark. And soon, Paris carried the consequence in her womb, a child, not her husband's. Panic set in like a slow fire burning through her peace. But secrets are seeds, they always grow. She stopped going to the city and avoided her neighbors. For 9 months, Paris hid her shame. One early morning, while her children had gone to school, she began to experience labor pains. Alone, she brought life into the world, a baby girl, small and soft. The cries were gentle, innocent, needing only love. But Paris felt nothing but fear. She stared at the child and saw her downfall. "If they know, I will lose everything," she whispered to herself. That fear swallowed her whole. She wrapped the baby in an old lasso, trembling with guilt. She stepped outside quietly, heart racing with every step. She walked to Nyakano's homestead, her neighbor just next door. Behind the house stood a pit latrine, old but deep. Paris looked around. No one was watching. She leaned over and let go. The cries were swallowed by the dark hole below. Then she turned and walked back home. She cleaned herself, changed her clothes, then went to the city to meet her husband. Later that morning, Nyakano walked to use her latrine. She paused. Something was wrong. Then she heard it, faint, desperate crying from the inside of the pit. She screamed and her cries drew neighbors from every direction. Panic and horror filled the air. The villagers brought ropes, others held their breath. They lowered someone in and pulled out the child. The women quickly bathed her and she was quickly taken to the hospital. The village was at a halt, shocked and confused. They whispered and questioned such behavior. So in the evening, when Paris' children were coming from school, they didn't find her at home as usual. Their mother's unusual absence worried them. The only place they could go to was at their grandmother's place, who deeply loved them. Grandma was equally worried. Such was not Paris's behavior, so she called her phone. Paris was not picking up her phone, which made Granny suspicious considering the recent events. The villagers were still unsettled. The fingers were slowly pointing towards Paris. Now that Paris was nowhere, their suspicions were justified. They remembered how she has always been isolating herself. Word reached the city. Gogo was in disbelief. His mother told on Paris, who was hiding in his house. He called the police on her immediately. Paris was transferred to the village to await trial. Gogo later found a lawyer and divorced Paris. He got custody of their 4 children and took them to the city with him. As for Paris' younger daughter, she was adopted by a young couple who named her Blessings. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with friends.